G'day all from Melbourne, Australia. This is Jeff from Coles Brisket Lovers. I thought I'd do my first ever video on my Facebook page, again, Coles Brisket Lovers. Get a few questions about how I do it and everything, so I thought I'd talk people through. If I get enough likes, I'll do more. So, as they say, like, love, pass it on to friends. Let's get this thing happening. So here's my brisket, Coles Brisket. I took a photo, I'll put that up. Yesterday when I bought it, it's about 2.5 kilo. I seasoned it overnight. I just use a mix of everything I can find, to be honest. I do prefer pepper seasoning as my favourite, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of Texas, mix it all up, put it on. I don't go too overboard, mainly because I just love the taste of brisket and I don't want it to be overpowered. Other people put heaps on, some put less. It's really up to you guys. You've got to experiment, see what you like, you know. Okay, so what I'm doing with the brisket today is also some potatoes, again from Coles. I got them on sale, so I'll chuck those on. Usually I pierce them with a fork, wrap them in foil, a little bit of butter, a little bit of salt, pepper, and pretty much you only need about 4 or 5 hours. I tend to leave them on a bit longer, just for pretty much the length of the brisket. Now, you'll see in the video as I go forward, a couple of things that I do. So I only put it up to 220. I'm in no rush, I'm here all day. I've got a Green Mountain Grills pellet smoker. You'll see that soon. That's all online, so even if I do leave the house, I can monitor it, which is really cool. I love the pellet smoker. I know the old schoolers prefer offset, but pellet smokers suits me, so I'm happy with it. What I do for the spritz is I've got instant coffee. It's not, is it? It's plunger coffee. So I grind my beans, put it in a spritz bottle. I usually mix it with Coke, and I find it the best. It does a really good bark, and you'll see how I spritz and stuff in the video. So the next step is taking it over to the smoker, setting up the probes and everything. So I'll see you over there. Buttoning off. Now I'm outside of the smoker. It's a really average day here. It's King's birthday in Melbourne. It's been raining all night, soaked everywhere. Nothing better than to do a brisket. So you'll see I've got the temperature on 220 Fahrenheit, right? All my recordings are Fahrenheit. The hopper's a bit low. I've got to race off down the street to fill it, but it's enough to get it started. And this will last a few hours before the buzzer goes off telling me I've got to fill it. So I've got plenty of time to get it on, get it happening. First thing you do is chuck the brisket on, then put in the temperature gauges, and then you just rock and roll, ready to go. So I'm just going to button off, and then I'll jump back on so you can see temperature gauges in, and I'll talk you through that. Alright, so brisket is in, temperature gauges on. Lift the lid, you can see it in there. Another thing too with my grill is I don't clean it all too often. I really like it to be seasoned and to have a bit of past life in there from other cooks. So yeah, it's really up to you guys too. Other people are really fussy, they clean after every cook. I tend to leave it there for a bit. I always line the bottom of the pan with really thick foil. I double line it so it lasts for ages. Drains really well. You'll see the temperature gauge in there. Now this is really handy. I also have a big bird temperature gauge that I use, but this one is good to keep an eye on it. I'm just going to close the grill, keep it heating. Now you'll see down here I've also got an app that I run that tells me everything, but I can go to the temperature. Tells me. Sorry, I was on the wrong one. I was putting it up. Apologies, guys. Hit the probe. It tells me it's on 45 Fahrenheit at the moment, okay? So it's pretty cool still out of the fridge, but that will start going up. So what happens is that goes up to around about, I don't know, I'll call it at maybe 160, 170. Once it starts to stall. Now to stall is when the temperature sticks at a certain degrees and stops going up anymore. And what I do then is I wrap in the thick foil, do a final spritz, get it nice and wet, and I very loosely wrap it in foil so a bit of smoke can still get in. But that's further down the track, so probably a few beers later we'll get into that. Some grillers know what that means, you times by beers. But yeah, we'll get there. Alright, so I'm going to button off and I'll show you the stages of spritzing, and as you can watch the bark get better and better. Bye for now. Alright, so it's been about 2 hours, a little bit longer. Had to race up the street and get some Coke. So what I do for the spritz is I put in about half this bottle of freshly ground coffee and another half Coke straight in, give it a mix and start spraying. You'll see the Coke's so fresh it's pushing out the nozzle, so I'll give that a quick spritz so it doesn't make a mess. So basically, this is all it is, right? It's simple. And the sugar in it and the Coke really helps make a good crust. Try not to get them more because I don't want that to influence the taste of what's nowadays, but that's it, quick spritz. Now I'll do this every hour until I wrap. So when I do a wrap, I do a final spritz. Alright, buttoning off. Just a quick one too, pellets that I use. So the pellets that I use are the Samba Smoke and Grill American Oak barbecue pellets. I get them from Bunnings. It's under $30 for 9 kilos. I find them really good, to be honest. Look, it's probably not as good as the Green Mountain Grill ones that they do, but it's a fraction of the price compared to what we're paying for them in Australia. I think it might be around about $40 to $50 a bag now in Australia for Green Mountain Grills. I'll put up a note about that. I'll confirm it online, but yeah, it's like these are under $30. Very, very good value. I think they last pretty well when I'm smoking at 220. Yeah, even in the cold weather, they seem to do really well. Yeah, so there you go. So you've got the Coles Brisket and the Bunnings pellets. Brisketing on a budget maybe, but I tell you what, they both work really well for me and I love them. Alright, time for the potatoes. Normally I'll put a little bit of butter and seasoning, but this time I did olive oil and I put some seasoning in the olive oil and mixed it up and let it sit there for about 5 minutes, and then it's just a matter of dabbing and wrapping. When I wrap fairly loose, try to let as much smoke in as possible and just leave it in there for as long as you can. Won't hurt it. That's pretty much it. Loosely wrapped, straight in. Like I said, leave it in for as long as you can. Alright, so back. We've reached about 160, 170 internal, which means it's ready to wrap. Alright, so I'll give you a look before I wrap it. I'm going to have to button off to wrap, and I'll show you as it goes back in. So, nice bark, looking real juicy. Now it's ready to go. I was doing these pork wings on the side. Not quite sure how these are going. I think they're ready to pull, so I'm going to take these out and have them for lunch while this stays in wrapped. Alright, I'll butt it off and I'll show you wrapped. So, like I was saying, I like to loosely wrap. Keep a little vent so smoke can keep getting in there. That's probably one of my tricks. I have used butcher's paper before, but I prefer to use the really thick foil. I give it a couple of squirts and then just leave it there until internal reaches about, people say around about the 204 to 206 mark. I keep it to 210. It's never failed me. Again, that's probably one of my tips. Try it for yourself. It may or may not work, but 210 works for me best. Internal temp. Okay, so here's the finished product. Rested for just over an hour. Usually I do 2 hours minimum, but this one went a little bit longer than I thought it would. Started at 8 o'clock and took it off just after 5 o'clock, and it's now 6:30, so nearly an hour and a half resting, which is pretty good. Alright, so I'll button off and then I'll start slicing, yeah, and show you what it looks like. But you can already see heaps of juices coming out. It's looking bloody beautiful, seriously beautiful. Nice bark, pretty good. Alright, I'll be back in a tick. So it's come up pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Nice and juicy. See there? A squeeze, you can see the juices. I'll give it a squeeze. Not bad at all for a Coles brisket. Not bad at all. Alright guys, hope you liked my video. Like I said, if I get a few likes, I'll keep continuing them. It's a bit of a hobby and I love doing it. So, see you all next time.